Hello, hello there, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to Coffee Time Career Chat, where we discuss all things professional development, career development, and networking twice a week, right? On Mondays, we talk about the career development, professional development pieces. And on Wednesdays, we try to focus on networking. And today is a networking day. My name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. I am a strategist, period. I do a lot of work doing strategic planning with executives for themselves and their organizations. And here's the thing. The goal ultimately is to make sure that you as an individual or your organization has what you need to be sustainable for the long term in your profession, in your career, but you also are able to do it in an authentic manner, right? That's always the focus here. So we want to be able to walk in integrity, be authentic, and be sustainable. So that said, we are going to jump into this topic. Now, if you happen to have caught this actually live, you will learn that, there are just things that happen. And after fixing my mic and video problem by removing the webcam, I got started, worked on, only to learn after we were done that the mic was not on for the entire session. So we are recording again, and you are getting this recorded version as opposed to the live version, because the live version did not have sound. It's all good, right? We just have to go with the flow and adjust accordingly. So here's the thing. When we're talking about tapping into your network for the common good, there's so many things there. And I could talk and probably teach a masterclass or a workshop on this. And I might have to, because there's so many aspects to it, including how do you strategize for yourself professionally in engaging your nonprofit work, your volunteer work, your community service, all of that. That's a whole other conversation about strategy for things that I've done down through the years. And I will have to go back and probably do a session on that topic as well, more specifically. But today we are speaking specifically to if you are needing to get some people on board for a give, for an ask, for an activity. What do you need to do? How do you do it? Why is it even important to tap into it? And I want to start off by saying a phrase that I repeat consistently, which is everything that comes to you is not meant for you. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is there are things that will come to you, and people, it's very common, will say, oh, that doesn't work for me. So they will blow off the opportunity. They will reject it and just move on about their business. And I am proposing to you today that that is a huge mistake, because just because it wasn't meant for you doesn't mean that it's not something that could be helpful to someone else that you know, someone in your network, okay? Because it came to you, it needs to now go through you to someone else. And that's really what this is talking about today. If you remember that, it will also help you as you move forward, and to hopefully not reject things so quickly, but to hold on to them for just a hair so that you can figure out if it's something that you need to share with someone else that you know who could benefit from it. So I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about some things about why it's important, or, why does it matter to be able to tap into your network for the common good. And then I also want to talk about some do's and don'ts when you're doing that. So first of all, why bother tapping into your network? Well, the reality is it's actually a relationship builder, right? You can actually build stronger connections just by reaching out to people when you are faced with an ask, when you are serving on a board, organizing a committee, selling stuff for your kid. It all goes at like it actually is an opportunity to build stronger relationships along the way. Because guess what? You end up having a conversation with someone. You may learn about some other things that you would not have if you had not reached out to them, right? So it's an opportunity to strengthen your relationships and to build them anew or revive them, perhaps, when you are tapping into your network for a common good, right? Something, a community related, something that's related to helping a student, a child, whatever it might be. All right. The second thing is that you increase your value as a collaborator in the community. This is huge because when people know that they can tap into you to help facilitate and ask a need that needs to be filled, they will come back to you again. Now, some people will say, well, I don't necessarily want them coming back to you. Here's the thing. They will come back to you again, not just when they need an ask, but also when they have a give. Okay? So this is that whole thing of don't cut off your nose to spite your face, because it can be beneficial to you in the long term because your value is going up when you engage, right? So you can increase your value as a collaborator in the community. People, will start to reach out to you more, will refer people to you, all of those things. This is something that I have faced for years because, number one, I'm just naturally curious. And so I will always, want to read things, check things out, and then share it out with someone else. But also because of that, and people know that, and they know that people, tell me things, or they share, or that I will go back out, then I get all kinds of connections, people reaching out to me, things that I'm aware of and things that I'm not, and sometimes they're meant to benefit me. Sometimes they're meant to benefit someone else. But, there are a few times when I'm even surprised. I'm like, why did you reach out to me? They're like, what are you talking about? You talk to everybody, you know everybody. And I'm like, I don't know if I know everybody, but the point is well taken. And so it's because I've built up that relationship that not just the relationships, but I've built up that reputation. That's the word I'm looking for. I've built up that reputation so that people will reach out, that will refer. I get calls of, hey, your name came up in a conversation and we would like to ask you to be a part of this project. We would like to ask you to be a part of this, board, or this, this council. Those come up often as a result of me having, been engaged in some giving, connecting people up, whatever. And this, and sometimes these things, they come along long after that ask or that give has been made. All right. The third thing is that it can increase the value within your own network as well. Because when your network knows that you can be trusted, not just with information, but to share it when asked, then they will know that they can trust you when they need to share information. And even if you aren't the person that can help them, they know that you will be willing and able to share it out with someone who might. Okay. So that value aspect is huge, not just for the immediate ask, but for future ones as well. And when those things are coming through you, guess what? Sometimes they're actually for you. So these are things, and I know it's that concept. This is a longer term. This is a long game. This is not a short game thing. This is a long game strategy that you're engaging in, because it's building up those relationships long term. It's building up that visibility in the community, and it's building up that trust from your from your network. Okay. So that's some good stuff right there. So just remember that. Okay. Now, several stories, because there's always something that comes up. There's been so many of them just in the last few weeks. I am serving on a number of boards. Several of them are brand new to me as far as serving on them. So I'm getting used to the level of ask, what the asks are for, and needing to be able to identify who I will reach out to when there are needs. So I'm literally in the middle of that right now with several organizations, and I'm going to implement some of the things that I'm telling you here today as I make those approaches. Now, here's the thing. While I'm doing that, there are people who are reaching out to me as well. Okay. I'm remembering a while back how someone that I know reached out to me to connect me with another mom because they remembered that my daughter is going to a university that this person's daughter is interested in attending. And so they're like, hey, I just want to connect you guys because I remember that Patricia has a child that's going to that university. You're interested. So here, I'm connecting you. Okay. Totally through. She doesn't, her daughter's not even college age, right? She could have just received that request or that info and just let it sit, but she didn't. She realized there was someone she knew who could help, and she connected us up, right? So the ask is not always monetary. A lot of times we just start thinking about the common good can go beyond just, whatever a local nonprofit that needs sponsors. It can be, a student who's in need, who needs assistance with something, or another mom who's just trying to gather all the resources necessary to help someone. So the need is, and the ask is not always about money for an organization. It can be about resources. Remember that, okay? Ask is about more than money. It can be money and resources of varying types. I get those asked a lot. One of the ones that I'm super excited about is literally one of my long-term lawyer friends. We're book nerds together. And so down through the years, because of some relationships I have with some service that I've done, I've been able to ask her to attend some events with me. And just recently, in the last week or two, she's reached out to me with an opportunity that I had not heard of. And she's like, hey, I've got this thing. Want to see if you're interested in going, let me know, or let's get our seats reserved. And I was like, yay, super excited about it because it's a great thing. So this is actually something that I am interested in. She knew it and she reached out to me, but also with, hey, if you're not, let us know if there's someone else. Okay, perfect example of how that operates. This same friend I had reached out to with some short notice, her and several others, because one of the organizations I'm a part of was having some last minute needs for an event. So I literally was just like, who can I reach out to right now that might respond? And that's what I did. And she was one of the ones who did, was able to tap into. So it's all of those things about the willingness, identifying the need clearly and sharing it with people outside of yourself, as opposed to, well, I can't do it, so I'm done with that. That's not the good way. That is not how you build out and strengthen your relationships and your long-term relationships and your network. Okay, especially if you're a part of an organization. Now, here's the thing. There are do's and don'ts when it comes to making these asks, to doing these types of things. We're going to start with the don'ts first so that we can save the do's and end on a positive note. All right. So one of the first things I want to say when you don't do is don't ask the same people over and over and over again. You will wear people out. They will stop taking your phone calls. And you're doing a disservice to yourself and to them and to the organization that you're trying to help, right? So don't ask the same people over and over again. On the do side, we'll talk a little bit more about about that, but be broader in your thinking. Be more open to who might be able to help. Are there people that we will ask over and over again? Of course there are, especially when it's related to something for your child or a child. If they're a family member or a close, family friend or colleague, those things happen. And most of the time they're not big ask. But when they're big ask or more substantial ask or resources that's going to require, more weighty, let's be a little more thoughtful about what we're doing and not tapping into the same people over and over again. Okay. The second thing is, don't limit your ask. This is something that practices a lot when we make, and it happens because we make assumptions about people's ability to give or to engage. That's the problem. So don't make assumptions about it. Now, if someone has said, hey, I've got $1,000 that I'm going to be investing into some organization over the course of next year. If you know something, let me know. That's different. But we're talking about if you have an opportunity to share, and let's say the giving levels are anywhere from $500 to $10,000, then when you're approaching someone with the ask, don't automatically assume that it's got to be at the lower level unless you know something specifically, right? Give people the opportunity to assess and make the choice for themselves. Okay, so it might be, you say, hey, I want to see if you're interested in sponsoring this event. I know that you've been looking for some opportunities for some greater visibility, whatever, all of those things. The levels are from 500 to 10,000. Here's the sponsorship deck, whatever. Share all the information, then let them decide. Don't you do the deciding for them, right? Because that ends up actually hurting you potentially and the organization because you're making assumptions that are not supported. The third don't that I want to share is don't forget to share the outcomes later. Don't forget to say thank you, especially if you were the person who brought people in. If you brought this sponsor or this person in, do not forget to go back and say, hey, thanks so much for what you gave. Here's what happened. Here are the things that occurred as a result. Make sure you share and respond. Okay. And I'm not talking about a text message. I'm not talking about a quick nod or something like that. I'm talking about, hello, handwritten notes are still a thing. Something in writing, a lunch, a coffee, something substantive, right? Don't just, hit and then go on and be like, oh, okay, whatever. Don't do that, because that's not how you build out your relationships for the long term. All right. Remember, stuff will circle back around for you. Now, here are some do's. Do diversify your ask. And who you ask is really what I focus on. So this is the flip of, being really being limited in the number of people. This is where it takes a little bit of work to really consider who's in your network and might benefit from being a part of this. Because one of the things that I wanted to make sure and state is all of this is about opportunities. There are opportunities for everybody on all sides of this. So don't limit it because you think it won't benefit them, right? Diversify that ask. Also, be strategic. This is something I'm huge on. Be very strategic about it, because something that will be relevant to one group of people may not be relevant to someone else. So sometimes somebody might be willing to give, but you're just asking them for the wrong thing. Okay. So I have, a women's luncheon coming up. I have a whole list of people I'll be able to go, send that off to. But maybe on some of these other organizational asks that are coming, they're going to be very targeted, private conversations that I have with people to provide to them. And here's the thing. Again, not making assumptions about what people's abilities are, but making sure to do it And finally, make the ask. So many times we limit what we're going to do because we don't even ask people, right? Now, putting an ask out on Facebook is different than a phone call or a text message or an email. So consider all of those things when you're needing to reach out to connect people for resource purposes and to help them. All right. That's what I got for you today. I hope that you will take this to heart, that it's helpful to you. And if you can think of some opportunities or things that would be great to share, that would be awesome. Or if you need more help or support in that, let me know and we'll be sure to connect and get a chat scheduled. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye.